Have you ever felt like your emotions are just running the show? Well, what if you could not only understand the rules that govern your mind, but actually start using them to your advantage? Today, we're going to dive into Barbara O'Neill's incredible lecture on the laws of the mind and really break down how our brains work. And that brings us to the big question, right? Who is actually in the driver's seat of your mind? Is it your impulsive feelings, or is it that rational thinking part of you? The answer, honestly, might just change how you see everything. Okay, so let's get into it. O'Neill has this brilliant metaphor. Our brain has two bosses, and they're always competing. On one side, you've got the feeling brain. She calls it a wild horse. It's impulsive, it's reactive, and frankly, it's a pretty bad boss. But on the other side, you've got the thinking brain, your frontal lobe. Now that's the good boss. It's the bridle that governs with reason and judgment. So the real question is, which one are you letting grab the reins? To really see how this battle plays out, we're going to look at one of the most powerful stories from her lecture. It's a tale of two panic attacks, same woman, but with totally different outcomes. And it shows you everything you need to know about the power of switching bosses. So, during her first panic attack, her feeling brain was in complete control, total chaos. Her heart's racing, she feels pure terror, and her only thought is, get to the hospital now. That wild horse was running rampant, and she was just being dragged along for this terrifying ride. But then, something shifted. She decided to arm herself with knowledge. She started learning about hormonal imbalances and what O'Neill calls the 8 laws of health. Fundamental stuff like nutrition, exercise, hydration, rest. This knowledge became her ammunition, the tools her thinking brain needed for the next time. So, sure enough, a second attack hits months later. The physical feelings, they were identical, but her response, completely different. As soon as that panic started to rise, her frontal lobe, her good boss, kicked right in and said, aha, I know what this is, and I know exactly what to do. And this is where it gets so practical. Look at her plan. Instead of letting panic take over, she just calmly acknowledged the feeling. She used simple tools like Celtic salt and water, she brewed some tea, and she focused on her breathing. She was literally talking herself through it, saying, this will pass. And you know what? Within 15 minutes, it did. She had used her thinking brain to tame that wild horse. So what's the science behind this incredible transformation? Well, it's a concept called neuroplasticity. It's the brain's absolutely amazing ability to forge new pathways, to literally rewire itself based on our thoughts and our actions. And the best part? We can keep doing this our entire lives. And here's a number you're gonna want to remember. According to the science O'Neill cites, it takes about 21 days of doing something consistently to create a new neural pathway, one that's actually stronger than the old reactive one. Just 21 days. And this quote just sums it up perfectly, doesn't it? Practice makes perfect, and practice makes permanent. Every single time that woman chose her calm, planned response, she was carving that new pathway deeper and deeper, making it the brain's new default setting. All right, now let's use this same principle and apply it to an even bigger topic, depression. O'Neill really challenges us to reframe how we think about it. What if depression isn't some mysterious root cause, but what if it's actually the effect of a chemical imbalance in the brain? Because if it's an effect, then the next question is obvious. What's causing the imbalance? This question is so central to her whole approach. Instead of just trying to treat the symptom, she basically says we need to become detectives and investigate what's causing that chemical imbalance in the first place. So, the investigation starts by looking at what we might be lacking. Could it be a lack of oxygen from just not breathing deeply? Too little exercise? Not enough sunshine? Not getting proper sleep? Could it be something as simple as dehydration or key vitamin and mineral deficiencies? Any one of these can throw the brain's delicate chemistry out of whack. Okay, next up, we look at the excesses. Things like sugar, caffeine, and alcohol. They give you these intense but really short-lived highs, right? Well, those are always followed by a crash, a corresponding low. O'Neill suggests that these constant chemical roller coasters, plus things like chronic pain or just too much stimulation, can be a major factor in that imbalance. And finally, O'Neill points to things she calls outright poisons. Now, this includes environmental toxins like heavy metals and mold, sure. But then there's this last one, and it's fascinating. Cherished negative thoughts. The idea is that by dwelling on negativity, we can create these little thorns in our brain that can physically damage the tissue. Wild, right? This is such a powerful way to put it all together. You might have a genetic predisposition for something, sure, but that doesn't seal your fate. It just loads the gun. It's your daily choices, your lifestyle, that ultimately pull the trigger. So if our brain can literally change, and our lifestyle is what pulls the trigger, how do we aim it in the right direction? Well, this is where O'Neill gives us a really practical toolkit. She lays out 4 fundamental laws that are basically the principles for governing our own inner world. Here they are: the law of choice, the law of forgiveness, the law of words, and the law of adaptation. Think of these as the tools we can use to consciously steer that neuroplasticity we were just talking about. Let's just touch on the law of forgiveness because it's so often misunderstood. This isn't about excusing what someone else did. O'Neill frames it as a selfish decision. It's a choice you make with your thinking brain to finally cut the chains that tie you to a painful past. It's all about setting yourself free, not them. And this ties right into the law of adaptation, which is really just neuroplasticity in action. We can actively grow our brain by learning new things like an instrument or a language, or we can let it shrink through stagnation and negativity. The core idea behind all these laws is the same. What you focus on, you reinforce. It's literally a case of use it or lose it. This quote really captures the heart of the law of choice. A random negative thought might just pop into your head. You can't control that. But you have 100% say over whether you entertain that thought, build a nest for it, or just let it fly on by. That is your power. That's your frontal lobe, your good boss, doing its job. Which really brings us to the main takeaway. The message woven through all of this is one of incredible empowerment. It's about finally recognizing that you hold the power of your own will. Let's end on this powerful statement from O'Neill's source material. Every man and every woman is the architect of their own fortune. Your brain isn't fixed. Your mental state isn't set in stone. You are the one holding the blueprints. So let's just leave it with this thought. If you really are the architect of your own mind, the only question left is, what are you going to build next?